So now that you understand how we enter the law of faith, husbandry is a faith-based adventure. Yeah, husbandry is governed by the laws of faith. Your husbandry is governed by the law of faith. So now, if you understand that my husbandry, the mind of heroic husbandry, the mouth of his heroic husbandry, the motivations of heroic husbandry, the methodology of heroic husbandry, the things that make me do what I do as a husband are all governed by the law of faith. The law of faith will change the way you think about your wife. The law of faith will change the way you speak to your wife. The law of faith will change your motivations toward doing for your wife. The law of faith will make you do things that a heroic husband is supposed to do, all governed by the law of faith. The just shall live by faith. If you're trying to fulfill your husbandry duties without doing it by faith, then you're doing it wrong. And eventually you're doing it by your might and by your strength. And eventually you're doing it legalistically. You're doing it in accordance to your way and not God's way. So what we have to understand and what we have to see is we enter into this law of faith which governs my actions as a husband, because husbandry is a faith-based advantage. Christ loved us by faith. Through faith, he did everything according to the word of God, being in his spirit. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. He did it by faith. You have to do it by faith. You have to live married by faith. You have to fulfill your husbandry duties by faith. It all happens by faith. But if you don't know what faith is, then how you going to function as a heroic husband? If you don't understand the operation of faith, then how you going to move and be and have your being in this faith life? You're not. And you're going to get frustrated and you're going to blame God and you're going to find religious reasons why God wasn't his will for this to happen and for that to happen, when all the time God wanted you to learn how to live by faith, how to be married by faith, how to fulfill your husbandry by faith all the time. Our Heroic Husbands Academy is going to give you what you need to hear to enter into the law of faith as it pertains to your husbandry, which will make it easy, which will make it burden-free. It won't be hard. It won't be frustrating. It won't be disappointing. You won't have a problem laying aside things. You won't have a problem doing things that's in the wheelhouse for you to do it. You won't have a problem doing it. You'll embrace the fulfillment of your husbandry responsibilities, your heroic husbandry. You'll embrace the responsibilities. You'll look to do it at a masterful level. But you got to hear something. You got to immerse yourself into hearing. You got to immerse yourself into hearing this good news of husbandry. This good news of how to fulfill the mandate that's upon our lives as men of God and as husbands. This good news of how to love the way a man is supposed to love. This good news about how to live the way a man of God is supposed to live toward his wife. Like that's what you need to be hearing. You need to be hearing how easy marriage is instead of hearing how hard marriage is. You need to be hearing how to speak as a husband to your wife instead of hearing how not to speak as a husband to your wife. Like those things matter. Those things make a difference. This Heroic Husbands movement that we're a part of, that you're a part of now, that you are in our Heroic Husbands Academy, is a movement that's going to impact society on 3 levels: domestically, economically, and socially. Our Heroic Husbands Academy will affect your life domestically. That speaks to your wife, your children, and your grandchildren. It will impact you in the way you love your wife. It's going to impact the way you treat your wife. It's going to impact the way your wife responds to you. It's going to have an impact on your wife that you desire. It's going to have an impact. Your wife will then have an impact on you that you desire. Our Heroic Husbands Academy is going to solve the problems that you and your wife currently have, whatever they are. And I say that with all confidence. I say that with all boldness, and I guarantee it. If you stay with me, if you do the activities, if you answer the questions properly, if you're on the Zoom calls, if you're interacting with us on the Zoom calls, if you're asking questions, if you're giving yourself over to it, I guarantee it's going to bring you to the place where your wife will be impacted in a positive way. The things she used to do that she didn't do, she's going to start doing. The things that she used to do that you didn't want her to do, she's going to stop doing, because it's going to be in response to your husbandry. Like, you're the solution. We were on the podcast talking the other day, and I was telling them, I'm like, man, it's like I was pointing to Kaylin, his wife. It's me, him, and her on the podcast. Easy, like that's like they like. In all my 25 years of experience, most wives are easy to influence and position by loving them. They're easy to influence and position and to help them be the wife that they long to be. Like, and I'm talking about probably 95% of the cases like that I've dealt with. Like she just want to be loved, and she just wants to love. But it starts with us, husbands. It starts with us and how we function and how we're moving in our husbandry. It starts with us. And so when we look at what heroic husbandry is going to do, the impact it's going to have domestically, first and foremost, it's going to impact your wife in a way that's going to make it better and beneficial for both of y'all. Secondly, it's going to impact your children. Like that, I can tell you like firsthand, my children, my daughter, my sons, my biological and my spiritual sons, all of them have been impacted by how they've seen me love my wife. How they've seen my wife love. All of them have been impacted in a positive way. I'm talking about transformational marriages have taken place. Transformation in marriage has taken place because they've seen. I didn't even realize it was happening. They didn't come back and tell me that I used to watch the way you used to love it. And like I said, like, is it real? It's real. It can happen. My son now, who's married, reflects back on how he's seen me love his mother. It's going to impact your children. And now I got 2 grandchildren that's seeing their daddy, and they're going to eventually see they see their grand. They're going to recognize how we love them, and it's going like you see the generational blessing that can occur. You see the generational blessing that's taking place. Our Heroic Husbands Academy is going to affect your wife, your children, and your grandchildren, right? It's going to affect you economically. It's going to affect everything economically. So it's going to avoid, first of all, the cost of the path to divorce. Divorce is actually the end cost. Like, and they say now you can't get a divorce for no less than $15,000, $20,000, right? Divorce is like the end cost. And it could cost you more depending on where you are economically in life. If you're a millionaire, multimillionaire, it's going to cost you millions of dollars to get divorced. It cost you millions. Right? If you middle class, lower middle class, and you earn $100,000 a year, it's going to cost you $15,000, $20,000 to get divorced. That's just what it is. Now, on top of that, alimony, child support, and all that stuff, it's going to cost you. We're going to save you thousands, millions, because you're going to be the husband that listen, you're going to destroy the whole notion of divorce. Then we go on the flip side of that, part of heroic husbandry is wealth creation. We're going to talk to you about creating wealth and what goes into wealth creation and how God has given you the ability to build wealth, to create assets, to leverage giftings, to fulfill calling. Like all of that is built into the heroic calling. It's to build wealth for the family enrichment and enjoyment. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the legacy of leaving wisdom and wealth behind for your children's children. So that's how it's going to affect you economically. And then socially, it's the extension of the family. Right now, my sons, my relatives, my church family, they're all being blessed. They're being impacted by the way I've functioned as a husband. God's ideal design for impacting society was through the marriage, was through a husband and a wife who would then raise children in that culture of love and they would see how a man is supposed to love his wife and how a woman is supposed to love her husband. And then they would then go and get married, and then they would have children, and they would perpetuate everything from the culture to the specifics of how they live and how they treat their spouse. Imagine that. See, we're seeing the generational curse multiplied and magnified in life, but the blessing was what that was supposed to be. You can start being that to your family, your generation, your church today, because you've enrolled in our Heroic Husbands Academy. And then lastly, I just explained it. The societal impact that you're supposed to have is humongous. Listen, that's our introductory video that I wanted to get to you to launch you off. There's an assignment. There's a questionnaire that you got to answer. Answer the questions, basic stuff. Answer those questions, but it's going to get you to thinking about the things that we say. And then there's an activity associated with this particular video lesson. I need you to do it. We're going to talk about it on Thursday. On Tuesday, we're going to talk about it on the Zoom call. Whatever day that might be. I'm mixing up some days here. Whatever day that might be, we're going to Zoom call. I'm going to expect you to be able to communicate and conversate about this. This is how you transform your mind. It's through hearing and communication and thinking and meditation and discussion. Like you say you want to be hero, you say you want your husbandry to be pleasing to God, as we all do our sons, then you gotta immerse yourself in our Heroic Husbands Academy. Listen, we'll be back. No, I'm sorry. We'll see you in the Zoom call, but then also lesson two is up to you to get it in. Get it in. God bless you. We'll talk to you later.